I would just like to preface that this is going to be like a 2-minute long intro of just a lot of footage that didn't really need to be talked about. So if you don't want to watch all of it, you can just skip ahead to, I'll put the time on the screen for when I start talking. Hello and welcome back. This is another video and also the part 2 of the Maryland trip. So this is like the policy work. I'll be going in and explaining just a little bit more in depth, I guess, what I do other than just advocating, which is pretty much all I do. But we got to go tour the White House, which is a huge deal to me because I didn't even know that was an option. I've lived in Maryland most of my life and I didn't know that that was an option to actually tour the White House. But that was very cool and it was a really great opportunity. And then we went basically to our first job / questionnaire. It was just a congressional briefing, basically where we're just asked a bunch of questions and we all provide our own feedback on what we think could be done and or just our experiences. Oftentimes they say that just sharing our experiences is really important because we see it a lot in our advocacy work where we are sitting in a room with a representative or a staffer, someone who they have somewhat of an idea of why we're there, and then by the end of it they're just like entirely shocked by the experiences that we all have and how they're very diverse and how they're different, but how we're all seeing the same kind of cycle of being really poor and being stuck in situations where we're taken advantage of because we are poor. And then also many of us don't really have parents and family to fall back on, so we're really kind of just out here on our own. So that's why we do what we do, because obviously no one can speak on your own experience except you. And though I am older now and, I am of age, I can't be considered a homeless youth anymore. I have been able to see previous bills and previous things that I was a part of, especially in my youth, that have now brought progress to the forefront and is allowing us not only to have easier ways to make room for more change, but also just helping people already, because there are so many things in the system that can change, but I think that more we chip and we show up and we make our voices be heard is really important, even though it is really tiresome sometimes to constantly have to like over and over and over go through the things that you've been through to see the change. But it is just like a huge honor to be able to share the things that have happened to me, because I know that there are, one, people I've grown up with that don't have the same opportunity to share, really atrocious things that have happened to us because of, where we sit on a wealth scale or, literal welfare. A lot of us are like on like food stamps and stuff, and we have been for most of our lives, and being on government system, but also being kind of like persecuted by the government for being on said assistance. So I am really thankful to be able to at least share my voice, and also hopefully make a pathway for other people to share their own voices. I've just noticed like a lot in my life growing up that the more voices that we have in general, the more likely people are to listen, and just showing up as we are without like the fear of not being enough or not being, able to express ourselves clearly or having the vocabulary. It's very scary at first, I think, to stand up for yourself and start, saying what you think is wrong about things, especially when you don't feel prepared to. You don't have the answers as to what is supposed to be done. But I think that it's not always our job to decide what is to be done, but it is our job to stand up and say when things are wrong and that things need to be changed, whether or not we know where that change is to start. There are so many brilliant people, doing the jobs that we go and we speak to, and we speak on, maybe we are not able to do those jobs. The opinions and our voices is what's supposed to shape policy. It's supposed to be giving back to the people, and if what we're doing is not a reflection of the people, then we're doing something wrong. This is the full second day that I spent with them, and when I woke up, I already had kind of just not like a negative connotation for the day, but I emotionally just knew I wasn't feeling that great. I've had a lot of turmoil, you could say, within my emotional life, and doing this work is really taxing on your mind and just like how you feel about yourself and in the world around you, because I mean, you're surrounded by people that you admire and you look up to and love as well. Like, I care really deeply for these people because they've gone out of their way to share their stories and be with me and embrace me like I am a part of their family. And it sucks having to hear how horribly they're treated, or how they are still suffering because they can't receive certain help because of the age they are, or because of the limitations that they have in their state. Towards the end of it, we had to do basically like a videography where they asked a bunch of questions, and it was for basically to help get more traction on social media and or just sharing our voices in a way that is quite cinematic. But I was doing so good throughout the day, and then something happened when I sat down in front of those cameras, and I was so good at first, and then they asked me the first question, and I just lost it. I couldn't stop bawling my eyes out. And I think it really goes to show that, you can start your day out and you can be doing everything right, and you're showing up for yourself, you're reading, you're journaling, you're reaching out to people, you're doing the things that you say that you need to be doing, and then you hit a wall. And I find myself there often, mostly just because I think that people who are from a state of constant panic and chaos are always in a way searching for that, whether it be like literal problems or just running ourselves down to the bone because we're doing so much. And I think that that's where I found myself, is I was just doing so much, not only to my body, but just trying to help other people and trying to make sure I was showing up on social media because this is my job, but then also like showing up emotionally and like applying myself to advocacy in a way that I really felt was thorough enough and did justice to having the platform that I had. And I think we just put like a lot of pressure on ourselves. I know I do. I put so much pressure on myself, and which is why I started making videos like this and really trying to get down my thought process, especially with things that are happening in my life, because I really love, and it is something that I've always enjoyed, is taking content and like recording my life and making it into something really beautiful. And I feel like it's definitely coping because, there are a lot of things in my life that I can't control. So for me to be able to edit something like really perfect and like flawless to me. You know, other people can say what they can, but I work really hard on the videos that I produce and really anything that I put out because I love having the control and knowing that what I'm putting out is 100% to my own standard. And that's a lot of pressure when you go to think about how you display yourself to the world. And I definitely feel like constantly there's this shield I'm putting up to try to protect myself, but it's also, in a way, I'm like lying to myself. Like I'm not doing okay because I'm pushing through and I'm neglecting things about myself that are really important. And it's so okay to like step back and like take a breather. And you're gonna see that in the next 2 videos that come out. I really kind of just take my stuff back into nature. I was proud of myself of coming to do the policy work because I had a really hard year, and even though like I'm super grateful for the opportunity, I did consider like maybe just letting someone else have the opportunity this year. There has been enough on my plate that I could have turned this down and probably have been okay. But when you show up for yourself in ways that you know are going to be hard, I feel like you just, one, for me, it helps me just feel a lot more secure in myself. There are a lot of things that I don't show up to because they are really hard, and I do think you should give yourself some grace. But also showing up to do the hard things is really important because, I mean, you can do really anything, you know, it just comes down to whether or not you're going to tell yourself if you're not going to do it.
And that doesn't mean like being miserable and staying in places where you're not appreciated and you're not loved. It just means that you have to take a step back and really evaluate if what you're sacrificing is worth it. And if it is, then proceed. And if it's not, there's nothing wrong with just choosing yourself. And like choosing yourself as in like your emotions, your well-being, your mental health over everything else. And for me that night, it was some spring rolls, a Thai tea, and tom kha soup. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will catch you back on part 3 of the Maryland trip. And again, of course, you are deserving of love, peace, prosperity, everything you've ever wanted. I will talk to you later. Bye.